Hello everyone, it's Gina K from Gina K Designs, and I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Flashback Friday. It's Stamp and Chat with Gina K, and I'm so glad to see so many of you here already. Welcome. I see people from all over the world have joined us tonight, and I am just honored to spend an evening with you. We're going to have a great time tonight. We're going to do a little bit of wreath building. And before we do that, I just wanted to mention what our topic is tonight. And our topic is hope. I watched a little bit of the news today. I try not to do that too much. Well, it's kind of always there, you know, it's always on, but I'm focusing on other things. But I happened to catch a little bit of good news that we might be flattening the curve a little bit, and that was hopeful. That felt good to hear something like that today. So the theme of tonight's Stamp and Chat is hope. And I wanted to start off with this thought. So I have a little thought here that, let me move that up there so I can see it because I kind of wrote it out. My thought to start tonight's broadcast is that it doesn't matter how long we may have been stuck in a sense of hopelessness. If we go into a dark room and we turn on a light, it doesn't matter if the room has been dark for a day or a week or a lifetime. We turn the light on and it's illuminated. So once we start to have hope, that light, and hope is a great feeling because hope is stronger than fear. So I'm going to take my hope and I'm going to hope that my wreaths turn out the way I want them to tonight. That's my first part of my hope. I have some really fun wreaths to show you tonight, and I don't know, I may have taught a class to some of you out there that took my advanced wreath builder class, and I have a really fun wreath to show you tonight that a lot of you may not have ever seen. So I'm going to start with that wreath, but before I do that, I want to show you something new. You ready for something new? All right, let me bring in my other camera here. So for those of you who have never seen a wreath builder before, I want to show you what we're talking about. And those of you that have been wreath building for quite a while, just hang in there with me while I explain. So this is the Wreath Builder template, and there's two of them. They come in a 2-pack. So you get a 3 3/4 inch one, which means that the square piece of cardstock that fits inside is 3 3/4 inches. And it also comes with a little bit of a bigger one, which is a 4-inch template. So basically what this does is it allows you to stamp in a perfect circular pattern. Now, when you use this, you need to use some sort of stamping platform. And I use the Misty, and I love the Misty. In my Misty, you may have seen I use this a lot. This is the mouse pad, and this is a separate purchase that you can get to go in your Misty. It makes up for the black pad that comes with the Misty, and then you don't need the grid paper because you have kind of a laminated surface here, but it's different than laminated. It actually feels like a mouse pad, and you can clean it all off with a wet rag or your tidy towel. And so if you get ink and stuff on it, you're not constantly using grid paper. So I really like this. But when I use my wreath builder, what I do is I flip it over and I use the black side. So that's kind of like the mat that comes in the Misty. I do that because the Wreath Builder template is white. And if you use it on this side, it's a lot harder to see it. This just really makes it easy to see. Now, I always put a piece of purple tape on my Misty to hold my mat in place, because the truth is that the mat can shift a little bit. And if you've ever had your cardstock perfectly up in the corner and you had the magnet on there and you stamped and you wanted to stamp it again and the mat slightly shifts, you don't get a good impression. It looks like a shadow, it doubles up and it looks weird. But if you tape your mat, even if it's just the black mat, if you tape it down, it just kind of makes it stick into place. So that will really help you from, you know, nothing getting shifted around. So somebody asked if it was canceled tonight. I'm here. if you, I'm right here, so hopefully you can see me. If you can't see me, or if you see me and you can't hear me, just refresh the page or go out and come back in. Okay, so now I want to show you something brand new that we have coming out. So these were the original Wreath Builder templates. Well, I decided that we needed these to be a little bit more intricate. So introducing the level 2, this is version 2, our brand new and improved Wreath Builder templates. Now let me tell you what comes in this pack. So you do get the same 2 outer layers. We did put the measurement on here. I know it's very hard to see that over a live stream, but it says Wreath Builder 3.75 inch template, and then the bigger one says Wreath Builder 4-inch template. So we did add the name of the template on there. And then we did something else. So there's the template. We took the inside of the template and we created grids on this template. So now this is going to help you to place your stamps better. So this goes in, and then you can see where dead center is because it's got a little target in the center. And then it's got these circles that go all the way out. So depending on how big you want your wreath to be, if you want a tiny little one on a tag, you can make a small one, or you can go all the way out to the edge, and you'll know if your stamp is going to go outside of the template when it's on that big circle. So that is very helpful. And the best way to do it is you just put your piece of cardstock into the template. And I have a piece of cardstock cut 3 3/4 inches square. So I'm just going to pop that in there. And then you can lay this right on top, and you can place your stamp where you want it. And then you pick it up with the door of the MISTI, and then you just remove this and it's ready to go. So I'm going to be showing more about how to use the stars now that are coming in the Wreath Builder templates. And there is one for each size, so you get 2 stars. And I will be doing a video, like a real video, not a live video, showing you how to use these and how to make them work to your benefit. So I'll have a little bit more information about these at the end of the show as well. Okay, so for those of you who are wreath building for the first time, if you have the templates, what I recommend is taking a little bit of purple tape. I'm going to try to make this neat and nice. So I'm going to take a little bit of purple tape here, and I'm going to tape the template down, because now that we have the mat secured, this mat, we also don't want the template to move. So we're going to tape the template down too with a little bit of purple tape on the bottom and also on the side, because it doesn't do you any good if the template shifts. Then that defeats the purpose. So now we've got this template all locked in place, and I've cut a piece of cardstock through to 3 3/4 inches. I'm going to put that inside the template in the square orientation. And I know a lot of you already know this, but I know we have some newer stampers. So I'm going to go through the single wreath first, but then we're going to use that wreath for a really fun technique. So the stamp set that I'm going to use tonight is the Autumn Wreath Builder. And any of the wreath builders can mix and match with the other wreath builders. So there is our original wreath builder, there's the autumn, there's the holiday, there's the reasons to celebrate, there's the mandala maker. They all mix and match. As far as the MISTI goes, I did see a question that says, what size MISTI is this? This is the original MISTI. It will not work in the mini MISTI. The templates are too big for the mini MISTI. So you can use it in the original MISTI, and you can also use it in the really big MISTI, the memory MISTI, if you have either one of those. This also works in other stamping platforms. So I know some of my European friends have other platforms available, and it'll work in any platform that has a door. But I use the MISTI. I've been using it. It was my first platform. I love it. It's a great tool, and it's lasted me for years, so I highly recommend it. So this first stamp that I'm going to use for this wreath is this one down here. And you can see that my stamps are very, very well loved. Oh, somebody also asked, why do I use purple tape? Purple tape won't leave any residue on my mat. So when I'm done wreath building, I can peel it off, I can save it and use it for something else, but it's not going to leave any sticky residue on my mat. So I'm going to start with this stamp. And when you're applying the stamp to the cardstock, I always recommend that you keep the cardstock in the square orientation. The reason is because if you start with your stamp here, and then you turn it, it's still going to be on the cardstock. But if you start in the diamond orientation and you put your stamp over here, when you turn it, it's no longer going to be on the cardstock. So we always kind of want to position our stamps in the square orientation. I'm going to put this one pretty close to the edge like that. And then I'm going to secure that cardstock with my magnet. Now, this stamp is face down. A lot of times if you're new to stamping and you're new to using the builder, it just can be a little confusing. Remember that the image needs to be touching your paper and the flat part of the stamp is on the back. And we're going to pick it up with the Door of the Misty. Now we know it's in the right spot. So I'm going to use some, let me find my ink cube here. I'm going to use some Jelly Bean Green ink. And I really like using ink cubes when I do this type of stamping because they're very, very easy to control. So I'm going to ink up the stamp. Let me go full screen here so you can see more of what I'm doing. Maybe you can't really see this, but I'm just inking up the stamp. I'm just, for the first one here, let me move my mouse so I don't shut it off there. I'm inking up the stamp while it's on the door. And then I'm going to stamp the image, okay? Now, once that's done, I'm going to pick the cardstock up and I'm going to turn it to the diamond orientation. That's the next position in the Wreath Builder template. And I'm going to ink it up and stamp it again. Okay. So now I'm going to continue to turn to the next position and stamp. And as you can see, I'm starting to get a circular pattern. So even though this template is square, because of the two different orientations, I'm able to create a perfect circle. The other thing that's nice about the Wreath Builder template is it's a perfect circle, but it's also perfectly centered. And that comes from turning the paper and that stamp being in the same exact position every time. So I remember in the past, I've tried freehanding wreaths, and some stamps it's easier to freehand than others. But once you try the Wreath Builder and you see how easy it is to create these perfect circular wreaths, it is really, really fun. Now, once you get one design done, you can actually lay several designs on top of those designs and you can actually stamp wreaths faster. And that is for another video. I'm definitely going to show you that in another video, especially with our new templates. It's going to be very, very easy to do. Okay, so now you can see I have my perfect wreath. And this is just one stamp. And one of the things that I noticed was a lot of times when people struggle with wreath building, it's because they just put too many images on their wreath and it starts to get kind of mucked up. Like there's just too many images. I said that very carefully. There's just too many images and you start to not be able to see any of them because it's just too many. So less is more when it comes to wreath building. I'm going to make this whole wreath and I'm only going to use 2 stamps for the wreath. So I'm going to use this little flower at the top for my second stamp. And again, I'm in square orientation. Now this doesn't matter quite as much because I'm inside the wreath, so I know it's going to be inside the cardstock. But if you get in the habit of always turning it to square, you can even write on the template square orientation to remind you. If you write it with a Sharpie, once you get good at it and you don't want it there anymore, you can erase it with a little bit of rubbing alcohol. If we can spare that right now. Maybe we can't spare rubbing alcohol right now. Okay, so now I've placed that stamp where it's kind of coming off the stem, and I'm going to pick that up with the Door of the Misty. And now I'm going to use some Passionate Pink ink, and I'm going to stamp some passionate pink flowers. Now, something else I want to show you is that you can easily alternate color. So I'm going to do that by first only stamping the square sides. See, I went from here and I skipped the diamond, and now I'm going to the square. And I'm going to stamp all the squares in passionate pink. So skip the diamond, go to the square. This is one of my favorite new layouts. I think you guys are really going to like this when you see it all done. And then skip the diamond and go to the square. Now the key here is not to move the stamp. Leave the stamp on the door of the MISTI. Clean the stamp, and when I clean the stamp and I need it to stay on the MISTI, I use my tidy towel and I just dab the color off. I don't rub it, because sometimes you can rub it and you can shoot it right off the MISTI and across the room. So we don't want to do that. We just want to dab that color off. And now I'm going to move my cardstock into the diamond orientation, and I'm going to stamp all the diamond sides using some turquoise C. So I know you're all laughing because that happens, right? You've shot your stamp across the room, right? So I'm skipping the square and then going to the diamond. And you can see now this gives me an every other, alternating color, but I didn't have to clean the stamp in between every turn. I just did the 4 squares first in one color and then the 4 diamonds in the other color. Okay, so this is a very simple wreath. And I'm not going to complete this card, but I'm going to show you what it would look like if it was complete. Oh, maybe I will complete it. Well, let's see. Oh, it's 7/17. I'm just going to keep this, and I'm just going to show you what it would look like when it's completed, because I want to show you my little trick for making an envelope to match this. Somebody had posted in our forum today, when you guys make square cards, how do you make the envelopes? Isn't that pretty? I really like this little wreath. I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper here, and while I'm talking, I'm going to color it in. I'm going to color these leaves in with a BG10 Copic marker. That's Cool Shadow, and all of our ink is Copic friendly because it's dye-based ink. Our amalgam ink is Copic friendly and watercolor friendly and Gamsol friendly and pretty much anything friendly. It's a very friendly ink. So, but all of our colors are dye-based inks except our white and our ivory. Those are pigment inks. So this just adds a little bit of color into the leaves. And of course you could do them any color you want, but I just thought that this really light aqua kind of made it stand out a little bit. And I like the Autumn Wreath Builder because there are some open leaves that you can actually color in. And sometimes when I build wreaths, I like to color them. So I might want to stamp them all in black and then color them in with bright colors, colored pencil and stuff. Okay, so there is my finished wreath. Now, if I was going to finish this card, and I'll just throw it right here on a black layer, and then onto a card base, that's what the card would look like. And I could choose any greeting to put in the center. And you can see all of the greetings fit in there really nicely, depending on what you want, what you're looking for. The greetings I'm going to use tonight for my cards are from the All About You mini stamp set. I just think that these cards are useful cards for me right now. So I want to make as many of them as I can. But you can see, you can stamp it right in the middle there. Or if you really want to get fancy, you can stamp it onto a die cut piece. And here is a little die cut of my double stitched and single stitched circles. And you can always do that too. But I don't want to cover up a lot of the flowers. So I would stamp right in the center on that one. Now, I want to show you my little technique for making an envelope. Now, envelopes can be tricky to make, and I know there are some great products out there that help you make envelopes, all kinds of envelope makers and punch boards and things, and they're awesome. But if you are in a hurry, like I usually am, you may want to do my cheater's square envelope technique. So what I have here is a pack of Gina K Designs Jelly Bean Green envelopes. Yeah, I know. I tried to. Joanne's laughing at my my muck-ups. Yes, I was trying to be very careful to say that correctly. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take one of these envelopes out, and these are our A2 envelopes. Now, if you're going to mail this card, you can always cut a 1/4 sheet of Jelly Bean Green cardstock and slip it into the envelope first. That will make the envelope rigid so the sides won't be flimsy. And then you can slip the card right in there and it'll be perfect. And it also won't be flimsy on the sides because you have that 1/4 sheet of Jelly Bean Green cardstock in there, and the recipient will barely notice it because it looks like the same color. But this is my favorite technique for making a square card envelope, matching envelope. So I'm going to get my paper cutter here. And what I'm going to do is, here's my flap at the top. I'm going to cut one side of this envelope off at 5 1/4 inches. So I'm just going to cut that right off. So there it is, right off the side. Okay, then I'm going to turn it around with the flap at the bottom now, and I'm going to cut it to 4 3/4 inches. Now, the reason why I just don't cut the whole 1/2 inch off of one side is because the flap is different. It kind of goes in a little bit, and so it would only go in on one side, and that would be a little bit weird looking. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I cut it off on both sides. And they're not actually the same side. One is actually just a little bit bigger than the other ones. So you want to do it that way. One side at 5 1/4, turn it upside down, and then cut it at 4 3/4. Now, once you've done that, I have to put my paper cutter where I can grab it because I need it again. Then these things, these can just get pulled out. You won't need these. And even if you have to peel them out and it looks a little bit yucky, don't worry about that. That's going to be on the inside and nobody's going to see it. Now, I have a corner rounder here. This is EK Success corner rounder. You can use any corner rounder. This comes in a little 2-pack, and it's got 2 different kinds of edges. So one is very kind of wide around and one is a little more pointed. I'm going to use the wider one. And then when I use a corner rounder, I like to turn it upside down so I can see that I actually have it in there properly. And then I'm going to cut that end off. This is the sticky flap that you lick. Okay. Or you moisten. I don't know if people lick the flaps of their envelopes anymore. I'm old-fashioned, I guess, and I do. But so now that makes it a little bit prettier on the edges, right? So now I'm going to get some of the Gina K Designs 1/8 of an inch terrific tape. If you already have score tape or you have tacky tape, red line tape, you can use it. As long as it's 1/8 of an inch, it will work. So I'm going to take this. I like this because it's easy to tear. And I'm going to put this on right on the edge of the flap. Now, it's very important that you don't put any tape here because this, people have done it. When this goes up, then you will have taped that shut. So you only want to put tape on the 2 sides. I've taught this in a lot of classes, so I've seen a lot of things. And we laugh and we laugh. And it doesn't matter because you can always do it again. But, you know, envelopes, I don't know, they're a little more precious, I guess, than cardstock. So then I'm going to peel the little tape off. And then I'm going to just burnish that with my finger. And then my card will fit in there perfectly. And that's a perfect little envelope. Isn't that easy? Isn't that fun? So that is the way to, that's called the Cheater's Square Envelope Maker. I just love it. It's so quick and easy to do. And then I don't have to worry about buying envelopes or envelopes, however you want to say it. I don't have to worry about buying them in all the different sizes. I buy all A2 envelopes and then I just do this to them. Now, somebody did ask, and I know this always comes up in our classes, do they charge more when you go to mail an envelope like this? So I'm just going to say this. You have about $97 invested in making this card, right? And this is going to cost you maybe 13 cents, 20 cents more to mail. So if you think about it, it's really not that bad. You just have to write hand cancel on it and then you can do it. But if you want, you can use my A2 technique where you just stick a quarter sheet of cardstock into the A2 envelope to keep it rigid and pop this card right in there and it will go for just a regular forever stamp. These are great for hand delivering, giving with a gift, when you put a card on top of a gift, maybe gift cards. It's a nice size for gift cards too. So that's my quick cheaters method of making a square envelope to match your square card. And if those of you are just tuning in, this is not the finished card. I'm just holding it all together because I'm going to use this piece to show you a really fun layout for a wreath. So I promise that I will post in the description of the video the spots that you cut off to make this envelope, okay? And it's just 5 1/4 on one side and then 4 3/4 on the other side. But I will put all that information in the description on YouTube and also on the main video on the Gina K Designs Facebook page so you can find it easily, okay? All right. Well, there we go. So we made a wreath and we made a little matching envelope, but now we're going to do something really fun. So let's get me out of the way here and we'll go to complete overhead. So you guys have seen me cut these in half before and turn it into an A2 card. Well, I'm going to do something a little different this time. Actually, I'm not sure which cardstock do you like better for this card? Do you like the jelly bean green or do you like the turquoise sea? I want to get some votes in here because I had it all planned for turquoise sea, but now that I've seen it with jelly bean green, I'm really kind of thinking jelly bean green might be the ticket. So I'll let you guys decide while I show you this layout. So you've seen me cut it in half and spread it out and then put a little banner going across. Well, I'm not going to do that this time. This time I'm going to cut it on an angle. So I'm actually going to, let me get my mouse out of the way. Okay. Oh my goodness. Well, I'll have to judge by scanning to see which color. Looks like a lot of you want to see turquoise. Well, maybe because I did the first one, the mock one in jelly bean, I'll do turquoise and we'll see how it looks. We'll lay it on top of both just to see. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut this right down the center on an angle. And I'm going to position the top and the bottom right along the blade's edge. So you want to first position it at the top. And then if you have a paper cutter where you can kind of put a little pressure on it, you can hold that there and then you can shimmy the bottom one over. Just make sure it's pretty close. Okay, now it looks pretty good. And then I'm going to cut it. All right. So this is a very odd looking card. But this is going to create a swirl pattern on your card. And it's really, really fun to do. So to start this, you need a piece of black cardstock that's the same measurement going across the top. So this is a 3 3/4 inch piece of cardstock. You want this black piece to also be 3 3/4 inches. And I know I got a little bit of ink there that was on my paper cutter, darn it. But I'll mono erase that off before I take the picture. So that is going to go right up to the edge on this piece right here. So we'll tape that on. Let me find my tape. we'll tape that on first. And I'm going to be using my dot adhesive tape here. I really like this because it's forgiving. You can rub it off or you can reposition it before it becomes permanent. And then I'm going to line it up on the side and right along the top. And that's going to go right there like that. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom here. And can you see now this is turning into kind of looking like an S. All right. So we'll do that. We do want to get it on all 3 sides of the triangle. So if this is your first wreath builder video, I'm going to recommend that you watch some of my beginning wreath builder videos because this is a little bit more of an advanced technique. Basic wreath building, you definitely want to start with that. Okay. So now we have that looking pretty good. Now see what I mean when I say I can lift this back up and move it? I didn't like it where it was, so I'm going to move it. Okay. That looks pretty good. And then I'm going to find my mono eraser and see if I can erase any of that little glue, any of the tape that kind of got onto the surface there. And we've got those little marks there. I'm going to erase those off. Okay. So there, I have my swirled wreath. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paper cutter and I'm going to get a half a sheet of white cardstock. And I'm going to cut this at 3/4 of an inch, but that's kind of hard to do to find a 3/4 of an inch mark. So the way I'm going to do it, this is really dirty under there. The way I'm going to do it is I'm actually going to just count 1/2 inch and then 1/4 of an inch and slide it to that mark. So I just moved it down 3/4 of an inch, and that means what's hanging off the edge is 3/4 of an inch. Okay. To go right here like that. Now I'm going to tape that. I'm going to actually tape, oh, this tape runner's out. I hope this one isn't out too. I'm going to tape that. This one's out too. Oh my gosh. Let me see if I can find another one. Okay, I have a little thermal web one here. This one will work. Okay, so I'm just going to get a little bit of tape going down. And then I'm going to adhere that and keep even borders on either side. Make sure I'm in the picture. Okay, there we go. Even borders on either side. All right. Now I'm going to trim off the excess. So I'm going to do that by flipping it upside down. And I'm going to just feel the edge of that cardstock right up against the blade. And once I know that it's at the right spot, I'm going to hold that down and just trim that little bit off. And I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to do the same thing. Now I can go up near the top here and flip it over and cut it. And there we go. So I have my piece and it's all evenly cut and everything's pretty evenly spaced. So now, you guys like this so far? I think it's a really cool layout. I'm going to lay this piece. Boy, I keep getting ink everywhere. So now I'm going to lay this piece on top of a black piece to give it a little border around the outside. I know you guys are making comments and probably asking me questions. So I will keep scanning as I can, and if I see anything, I will definitely try to answer. And you can always, once I post the cards in our Facebook group or on the Facebook page, you can always ask me a question there. And I do get in there, try to get in there a couple times a day to poke around and see what everybody's doing. Okay, so now I have that nice edge going around the outside. And I just want to welcome everybody. We have 1,600 people here tonight, guys. It is so exciting to see all of you. Thank you all for joining me. Let me get my face here so you can see that I'm so happy to see you. It's wonderful to have you here. If you're new to Gina K Designs, we do have a really fun Facebook group. Come and join us. It's called Gina K Designs and Stamp TV Friends, and it is such a supportive, fun group. And we all share our Gina K projects over there, and we would all love to have you. Okay, so it sounds like the winner was turquoise sea. So I'm going to lay it on top of the turquoise sea card base, and that does look really nice, actually. So I'll lay it like that just so that you can see it, but I'm also going to put it on the green so you can see that too, and that's really pretty too. They're both really pretty. I don't know which one I like the best, so I'm going to go with the turquoise sea just because kind of my rule of thumb is always pick like one little spot color in there and make your card base that color. So I think I'm going to go with turquoise sea, and you can never go wrong matching your card to your pajamas, right? Okay, so I'm going to put this onto my card base, and then I'm going to do a cute little circle word that's going to go into the center. Now, of course, if you have some long strip greetings, you could stamp them on an angle. It's a great place to put a nice big greeting. Do I have one of those close by? Let me just see real quick here if I do. And if I don't, then no, I don't. Because I don't put anything away. That's why I can't find it, because I don't put anything away like I'm supposed to. But if you had a big greeting, it would go there really nicely. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to stamp my greeting on here, but I'm going to use the Misty because I always get nervous when I stamp my greetings. So if you are using a Misty and you have either the ThermoWeb Sticky Dot Runner or you have the Gina K Designs Dot Runner, you can put a little bit of tape on the back, and you'll know it's the back because the stitching looks different on the back than it does on the front. These are the Gina K Designs double stitched circles. And so I'm just going to tack that down. And then I'm going to use this one. I don't know what I would do without you. Oh boy, but the world is a better place because of you. That would be great for a first responder card. I'm going to use that instead. See how quick I changed my mind? I'm sorry, I usually ask you guys, but I didn't ask this time. All right. The world is a better place because of you. So that kept the die piece down there. And because it's such a big greeting, I really didn't have room for the magnet. And now I'm going to use some black onyx ink. And I'm going to stamp my greeting right there. Now I try not to worry too much about making sure that it's straight because I'm stamping on a circle and I can just turn it if it's not straight. But I know you guys are probably just like me. You still like to see it straight on there before you stamp it. Okay, now I could add a little something if I wanted to add one of the little flowers right there to kind of square it off. I think I'll do that. I'm going to add a little flower right there, and it'll be turquoise sea since that's the color that we chose for the card base. So I'll add that little turquoise sea on the flower and stamp it. There we go. So that'll tie it all in together. And now we'll assemble that. So if you've never seen the Gina K Designs dies, the circles, ovals, rectangles, and square dies, we have them in both single stitched and double stitched. The one cool thing that I decided to do with these dies is I made the single stitched 1/8 of an inch bigger than the double stitched. So you get that super thin black layer or whatever color layer that you want to have. You know, I like the thin layer. I'm not the thick layer girl. I like it to be a nice thin little layer. So you can see I cut the black one out using the single stitch die and the white one using the double. And when you layer them together, it hides the stitching on the other one and it gives you that perfect little edge that I love. Okay, so now this is going to go right in the center, and that's going to kind of finish off that whole swirl. And I think I'm going to use some foam squares. So let me get a couple of those going. All right, let me open this up here. I don't know what I did to my foam squares, but let me just grab a couple of them. Okay, so I'm going to put 3 foam squares on the back. 3 is good. Use 23 if you want to, that's fine. These are the Gina K Designs foam squares, but you can use any foam squares. And then I'm going to pull the little liners off. I have no nails left. Okay, and I'm going to pop that right into the center. And that gives me a swirled look. So what do you guys think? Isn't that a fun card? Something completely different than our usual? So I have lots of Wreath Builder videos, and what I'm going to do is I'll also add the beginner, like the introduction to the Wreath Builder video. So in the description on both YouTube and on our Facebook page. This way, if you guys are new to wreath building and you really want to get the basics and you want to see it in the, you know, more traditional style videos that I do, you'll be able to see it like that. Okay, so that is the first card. So now I'm going to do a spray. I am going to need a piece of cardstock, which I didn't think to cut ahead of time. So let me see if I can find one. Hold on. I'm going to go over here and see if I have a big one. I do. Okay. So I have some pre-cut pieces here that Tom cut for me for a class. And when I do wreath building, I like to use our heavy base weight white more than I like to use our layering white. And the reason that is because this cardstock is so thick. It's 120 pounds. It's thicker than Nina. It's just really super thick cardstock. And it doesn't slip under the template very easily. And that makes it easier for me to kind of place it and not worry about it slipping under. It just stays where it needs to stay. So I'm going to move this card out of the way, and I'm going to get my Misty back over here. And then we'll go full screen overhead. So I'm going to do a spray design, and a spray is different than a wreath, and I'm going to actually stamp on a full sheet of cardstock. And when you're using the Wreath Builder, you just need to make sure that it fits still in whichever template you're using. And this is the 3 3/4 inch template. So my cardstock measures 3 3/4 inches by 5. And as long as my top 2 points are where they need to be, it really doesn't matter that the bottom hangs out. So I'm going to start in a different position. I usually, when I build wreaths, I start over here on the side, but because I'm doing a spray, I want to start at the very top. And the image that I'm going to use is this image right here. And this is going to be a bright spring spray. I do have a video on this. You may have seen it already, but if you haven't, I think you'll like this layout too. So I'm going to get that really close to the edge, like that. And then I'm going to stamp that using some Wild Wisteria ink. And Wild Wisteria is a beautiful purple. I don't know where to put it though. No, you know what? I'm just going to grab my big ink pad for this because I don't have a cube open. So I'm just going to use my big ink pad, and that's okay. It's just a little messier sometimes. So is this Wild Wisteria? Yep. Okay, so I'm going to stamp that image at the top. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it to the next position. And again, it doesn't matter if it hangs out the side. I'm going to stamp it again. And then I'm going to go back to the center, and I'm going to turn it the opposite way, and I'm going to stamp it again. So I'm just getting 3 of these images stamped together like that, okay? So now I'm going to turn it upside down, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm trying to scroll through the comments. There's so many. See, I waited a minute here, and there's like 100 new comments. Okay, so now I'm going to put it up here at the top like that, and I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to stamp it, And then I'm going to turn it to the one side and stamp it again. You can see how I'm getting my ink pad all over the window. And then I'm going to turn it again and stamp it again. Now, I just got to warn you that I know this video might go a little more than an hour tonight, but it's Friday night and we don't have to go to work tomorrow. Every night's Friday night. That's a good thing, right? We'll just pretend that every night is Friday night. So it doesn't matter if we stay a little late. Okay, so now I'm going to put that back in that same position. And then I'm going to put that stamp away. I'm going to use that first stamp that I used on the other wreath, the one that I colored in. Should I use that one? No, I think I'll use a different one. I'm going to use this one. So this one kind of looks like it has a crooked neck, but I did that on purpose because I wanted room to put a flower in. So I think if I use this one, I'll be able to add the flower. That's how you'll remember this stamp. And I'm going to lay that right in between. And that's going to be a little lower, and that's okay. Okay. So for this one, I'm going to use Jelly Bean Green again. Let me pick this up with the Door of the Misty. And then remember, each time you pick up a stamp, reposition your cardstock because clear stamps are just sticky and they grab the paper and it can move the paper. So just always check your paper and make sure it's in the position you want it to be in. Now I'm going to turn it this way. Excuse me. And then I'm going to go back the other way like I did before, back to the center and turn it this way. But then I'm going to turn it one more time. So I'm going to give it one more turn because I want to have 4 of these along the top. Okay. So now that's at the top. Now I'm going to flip it around, upside down. And I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to start here. And the reason why I start there is I just want to make sure that it's centered between 2 of them. I could have started on one side or the other, but then I wouldn't really be sure. Okay. So now I'm going to stamp that. Now I'm going to go back and turn it to the right. Make sure it's in position. And then I'm going to give it one more full turn there to the side. And now I'm going to add some flowers. Now you can see what's happening here. We've got this beautiful spray coming off the top and off the bottom, and we're going to do something special in the center. And I want to show you a really fun technique that it's been a long time since I've done it. And I saw Kathy Z do it on her YouTube channel. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I got to do that in one of my next cards. So I'll show you what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to put that back into the top position. And then remember I said there's like a little space there. So I'm going to put the flower in that little open space. And then I'm going to do these all pink. I could alternate, but I think I'm just going to do them all pink. So I'm going to stamp there. And I'm going to turn it. And that just is the perfect little spot to add a flower. Back to the center again, and now I'm going to go 2 turns this way. Make sure it's in there. Okay, and here is the last flower on the top. So the thing about wreath building that I love, I'm going to do the same thing this way, is sometimes when I don't know what to make, it's not that I don't know how to stamp, it's that I don't know the layout of the card that I want to make. And if that ever happens to you, you can sit and build wreaths And don't put any greetings in them. Just build beautiful wreaths, different colors, different images, get all your wreaths done, and you can put them in a drawer. And then when you need a quick card, you need an Easter card, a sympathy card, a wedding card. Wreaths are Mother's Day. Wreaths are just perfect for all different occasions. And so you'll have lots of cards ready to go. But with wreath building, it's very relaxing. It's very methodical. You can put on some good music, or you can put on one of your favorite series and just sit and relax. You only need a few ink cubes and your stamp set, and you can just build all different kinds of wreaths. Okay, so now we have this part done. Now we're going to do something for the center. And this is what I wanted to show you. So you guys know how in love I am with my Swiss Dot embossing folder. I love embossing folders. I just think that they're so pretty. And the thing that I like about an embossing folder is it adds a nice little bit of texture, but it doesn't really take away from the card itself. So I wanted to add a little bit of texture, but I didn't want to use an embossing folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a stencil. So let me show you how to do this. Now, I have my die cutting machine here, and I know you can't see the, it's hard to see me doing this on the die cutting machine, but I'm going to show you the layout over here. So I have the Spellbinders Platinum die cutting machine, and I'm not using the two clear plates. Now these two plates, well, this plate and this rubber mat came with it, and I just stuck those in a drawer because I don't really use them all that much. But I forgot that you can use them as a way to emboss with your stencils. So I'm going to put my mat down, and then I'm going to put my piece of cardstock down, and I'm going to, you can pick whatever part of the stencil you want to use, just move the cardstock wherever you want, and I am going to use that part of the stencil right there. And then this blue plate goes on top. Okay, now I'm going to run that through the die cutting machine. It's going to be a little hard to see it because it's white on white, and I know that's a little harder in a live stream, but I will make sure that you can see the detail really well in the picture. So let me show this to you. Maybe you can see it here. I don't know if you can see the texture in that. You can see the other side. Let me try it down here too. Can you see all that? So now you've got a million stencils. I know you do. We all do. We have millions of stencils. Now we can use these stencils as embossing folders. Now every die cutting machine pretty much has some sort of rubber mat and embossing capability, except maybe the electric ones like the Gemini. I don't know if that does or not. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm not 100% sure. So you'd have to check to see if you can do it. But if you have a hand crank machine like this, you can definitely do it. And so that gives me a little bit of texture. Now I did make one earlier, and I took a blending brush and I just blended a little bit of light gray over it just to accent the edges. And you can do that if you want. And that just makes it look a little deeper. The embossing looks a little deeper. But if you just want that real simple embossed look, there it is. Okay, so I really talked a long time about that, but that's exciting to me. So now I'm going to take a little strip of black cardstock, and I'm going to tape those two pieces together. Okay. Now this piece of cardstock is 1.5 inches by 3 3/4 inches. And then the black is, let's see, I said 1.5. So the black is 1 5/8 by 3 3/4 inches. So again, I have that little border on the top and the bottom, but they're even on the sides. And then I'm going to take a piece of black cardstock, and I'm going to do my little layering thing that I always do, because I think black on every card is amazing. It's really hard for me to make a card that doesn't use black cardstock. I think I tell you that every week, just so that you're prepared for me to use black cardstock. And then this piece is going to go right over, and it's going to kind of cover up the center there. So I'm going to do that. Get it in the center. That's not really in the center. Kind of judging by the two green pieces, and I'm not like standing right over it, so it's kind of a little bit out in front of me, so it's not as easy to see, but there we go. So I've got that little bit of texture in there. And now this is going to go on a passionate pink card base. And then I'm going to do my little circular greeting for the center. I don't want to use an oval. You could use an oval. I cut one just to show you. So if you wanted to use a big oval greeting, you could, and that would look pretty. But I really want to see more of this greenery because I want it to appear like a spray. So I'm going to go back to my Misty again. And I'm going to use a different greeting from that set. Use the same set. And I'll do the first one. Wait, which one did I do on the other one? So I'll do I Don't Know What I Would Do Without You. That's certainly a card we can send to a lot of people, right? Okay. And then this is going to be stamped in black onyx ink. See what I just did? My magnet was in the blocking it. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to take that out gently. And I'm going to be good. I'm going to clean my stamp and put it away before I close my Misty and leave it in there for 3 days. Okay, now I have my card. And then I have another black circle here. So I'm going to adhere these two together. I could add a pink flower on there, but I don't have to. And so we'll just see how this looks. So you could pop that up or you could put it right on there. So I think I'll just tape it right on there for this one. Right in the center. So there is my second card. So now 2 different layouts using the Wreath Builder templates. Now I have a little surprise because I know a lot of people have been waiting for the Wreath Builder to come back in stock. It is now the new Wreath Builder templates. I have it over here. The new Wreath Builder templates with the stars are now available in our store in the What's New category. So you can get these now. If you've been waiting for a Wreath Builder template and you haven't been able to get it, it's now available, but it's the new style. And if you already have a Wreath Builder template, I don't think that there's a problem having more than one Wreath Builder template. If your friend comes over and they bring their stamp platform, their Misty, you can hand them one and say, let's build wreaths tonight. So it's never really a big deal to have more than one set. So these are now available in the What's New category at Gina K Designs. So our theme tonight was hope. And maybe some of you hoped that I would have my wig tonight. I really should, because this hair, I don't know what I'm doing with it anymore. Soon I'm just going to put it in a ponytail, and that's what I'll look like. So hope, one thing about hope that I think is kind of cool is that hope is an acronym, actually. H-O-P-E, right? It is, where's my little cheat sheet? I lost my sheet, oh my goodness. Well, we know that hope is stronger than fear. Oh, here it is. Let me grab it. I'm coming out of the scene here. Okay, so hope, if we think of hope as an acronym for hold on, pain ends. That's hope. So I'm going to leave you tonight with 2 quotes. The first quote is just something that if you're a spiritual person right now, a lot of the holidays are all around us. We have, tonight is Good Friday. We have Easter on Sunday. So if you celebrate Easter, that's this weekend. Happy Easter to you. If you celebrate Passover, happy Passover to you. Ramadan is at the end of the month. And so I just wanted to, this quote, I just love it. Never be afraid to trust the unknown future on the God you do know. So just never be afraid to trust God. And then my comment for the night, my quote for the night that I'll be posting on my Facebook page is I adapted it from something from, I had to ask my husband how to say this. He was an English major in college before he went to law school. And I've been saying this man's name wrong my entire life. It's by J.R.R. Tolkien. We said Tolkien. I don't know why I always said that, but this is adapted by a quote from J.R.R. Tolkien. And his quote was something like, as long as there's a little bit of good in the world, it's worth fighting for. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I love Flashback Friday. I love using old sets, and I love wearing jammies. I am going to have to get some new ones, though, so you don't see me in every Friday video with these. I love you guys. I hope that you had a great time tonight. I hope you enjoyed the card projects. I will probably not be back this weekend. I know it's on there, and I haven't done a weekend one yet, but Tom and I are going to be working hard to get orders shipped on Saturday, and then Sunday we'll be celebrating Easter. So I wish you all a very happy weekend, happy Easter, happy Passover, and I will see you back here for Merry Monday, where we'll be making Christmas cards. Love you all so much. You guys have a great night, have a great weekend, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.